All right, we are live. We're mostly live. Yes, we are. So it's good there, good there. And I'm assuming good there. Stupid commercials on Twitch. I don't know about anybody else, but I hate these stupid fucking commercials. They just annoy the crapola out of me. So today, we're just going to sit here, draw some assets, keep working on this map. I probably have a lot more to do than I have time to do it. Because I've just been procrastinating like crazy. Procrastinating like crazy. It's a terrible freaking habit that I get into when I fucking finish something like this. I hate this map. I think that's the biggest problem. But, once I get this one done, I've got two more to do. I've done all of these already once before. Um, but I'm redoing it with my own assets the way that I kind of like to do them. So I guess there's that. I may have to open up Photoshop to see if I have some of the assets that I want to use. I think where I stopped was throwing these pickaxes and hammers that I made here in this room. I do need to open up the assets folder. It's this one. The assets that we've been working on. And I have a feeling we're going to have to make some more assets today. But, we made a minecart with some crap in it. Well, there's bumper stops for on the rail line. We made this brush. And I don't remember where I made this. I don't think I did it for this. I made it for something else. But the brush worked out well. All right. So let me open up my reference map. I need to see if there's stuff up here. Now, a few things I did change. I did outside the last time we streamed this. I moved the wall rocks so they actually sit on a texture layer so that when they're underneath this side shadow on the wall, that they look shadowed. They were really bright sitting on top of that shadow, so I had to move them off. So 3A, next thing we need to do is 3B. We have a lot to do. Discarded mining gear, floors covered with rusty mining gear, including helmets, picks, shovels, and an iron sled. That's right. I was trying to figure out how I was going to make an iron sled for this room. But I think what I'm basically going to do is create something that kind of looks like a sled. Doesn't, I don't even care. A sled made of iron. So let's start doing this. We're just going to see how this looks. So let's create a folder here. Go down there because it's the next one we're doing. And that'll be Iron Sled. So is anybody doing anything exciting today? I can't say we are. I'm thinking about after I feed the puppy in an hour. Everybody got lunch late. I tell you what, I got like maybe 3 hours sleep last night. I don't have insomnia or any crap like that. But what I did have was a puppy who, when she's running the house, can get into trouble. And my wife, I'm gonna I'm gonna throw her right under the fucking bus. Um, when you're letting the puppy run loose, you've got to not let her do whatever the fuck she wants, right, young lady? So you close doors to the rooms where you don't want them to go in. I thought I had corroded iron in here. Old rusted metal. We could see how this looks. It may not look awesome. Let's take a look. But you don't let a puppy just, do whatever the fuck they want to do. And she kind of let the puppy do whatever the fuck she wanted to do. And apparently, what she wanted to do was pee on the bed. So she did it. That's really bumpy. I don't like that. I'm going to put this on there instead. So she did it, I guess, early enough that we didn't know it happened. And it had dried off on the top sheet so you couldn't see it. So the way I discovered it was laying down in bed. So that was fun. So I said to the wife, get the fuck up. We need to, ooh, this might be better. Need to remake this bed. Why? Because somebody peed in it. So let's be honest. 10, 11 o'clock at night, that's not the time to find that this has happened. But that's what we found, or I found, I should say. And so I ended up spending most of the night. Oh my God. If you've ever washed a mattress cover, which if you have a bed and have a mattress cover, obviously, or at least I hope you have, um, there's the fucking pocket that goes around the outside that holds it on the bed. As it's rolling in your dryer, it just rolls into this fucking tight ass ball. So, like every 30 minutes or so, you got to go in there, turn the dryer off or pause it, pull the goddamn thing out, and unfucking ravel this damned dryer, this damned ball from hell that forms in the goddamned in the dryer. It just really sucks. So I spent a good portion of my night with that. Fortunately, we have multiple sets of sheets. So once that dried, I flipped the sheets over. I had the other set of sheets, threw that on the bed, and I went to fuck the bed. The wife had gone into what used to be my son's room, which is I refer to it as the sick room because that's where I slept when I had COVID. Trying not to give it to my wife, and she got it anyway. But she slept in the sick room, which was everything got cleaned between now and when I had COVID. But yeah, that was you know what? That was the exact opposite of a fun evening. So I think what we're gonna do is because all it says is an iron sled for dragging ore, right? So I think to drag ore, you want maybe three walls on it so you can just heave the shit in there and then pull the sled along. So or push it along. Maybe we'll put some push handles on the back or something like that. But let's make this damn thing. So I guess first thing we'll do is figure out how big we want it to be. Pull it back this way and kind of make a runner. Do we want to make a runner on it? Or do we want wheels? Let's go there. So we'll dump this in there. I still think, let's take it down in size like that. That looks nice and corroded. So this will be the sled bed. And let's do this. I always like to have my outlines on here. And there are times when I forget to do this. All right, so that'll be the sled bed. It has its outline and we're good. Now we're going to do the walls for this. And what I'm thinking is have the walls kind of be out here a little bit. So I think what I want to do is a polyline. And if this is even, which I'm not sure I did it even, if it's even, then this will work perfectly. That's a symmetry ruler, so that should take care of it. So let's polyline this thing. We'll go here, 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 here. So this, we're going to drop there. And I think this is going to work. So we have that like that. We're going to deselect. Going to create our outline. Same thing. Go black. 2, 3. All right. So that gives us that. We're going to create some lines on this later, but we're going to do one more layer. And for this layer, we're going to do this for like the outline. So there. This will be for the top rim. Forgot each layer we need to do the same thing we did there. So here we go. Here. What the fuck is going on there? I'm not double clicking. See, it's popping where I don't want it to pop. There we go. So we're going to... Fuck. Yeah, we fucked that. Let's try it again. There. Why is it being so gosh damned ornery? There we go. There we go. That'll work. We're going to do the same thing, drop the same texture in there. We're going to outline this. So that's the top rim. And that gives us the walls of the cart and the top rim of the walls. It'll work. Now we need some shadows. So what I am thinking is, number one, I always dispose of these things. Once that's drawn, I don't need anything causing any issues. So I'll tell you what, let's do our old standby. Each one of these layers, we're going to create our 3 shadow layers that we use for everything. Then let's go in and real quick select our 2 shades. So this one will be highlight, and we'll use that on each of the layers. And then this one will be shadow. Thinking we can just do a single shadow across here. So we can kind of, let's see how this works. So that's got a shadow. Here we need shadow in the bottom. Like that. Top. We're going to do this. Give it that rounded look so it's not so flat. There. I'm always careful about this because if I don't do it this way, the outline gets lightened up and distorted. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. There we go. So that gives us our basic ore sled. Let's come in here. Go like that. Let's get rid of this. All right, that gives us the start of that. Now, do we want to give it sled runners? Or do we want to, I don't know. Do we want to, maybe we do. Let's see how we can do that. So let's put another layer above. And we'll do the same thing. fact, that'll actually need to be a layer below, but doesn't matter right now. I haven't done anything yet. Sled bed. Runners. So this is close enough for government work. I think we can do this. Oh, there's one other thing that I do need. So on top of the walls, I need a layer here that are lines. Those will be blick. And we're just going to need a zero pressure pen. Let's take it down in size. I think we want it to be right at 3, which is what we have the other stuff at. So there's that. And there's that. There we go. Seems like on these, a lot of times the outline line isn't the thickness we think it is. There we go. All right, so that gives us the inside of this ore cart. Now we'll make the runner, and we'll shade that in and kind of make it look like it curls up a little bit, I guess. So let's put this on. Let's moved it a little bit. I want it down so I can have just a little trail of runner on the top there. All right, so for this, we're going to use the other pen we made. It's a square pen. We just want it to be a square runner. And I think on this layer, we're going to do it in a single stroke for each one. So there we go. I was trying to figure out what I wanted for dinner tonight. And I had no clue. So I just pulled some steaks out of the freezer. I had bought that yeah, that's fine. I had bought that my brain just shut down. Strip loin a while back and cut what, 20 steaks out of that thing? Tell you what, that is a bargain. If you can find something like that, a strip loin or any cut of steak that you like where you can get just a long chunk and cut that thing out. It ends up saving money over paying a butcher to cut it out for you. I mean, I got 20 strip steaks out of that strip loin. It was, I think, 95 bucks. You're not going to beat that with a stick. All right, so that gives us those two. Let's and then I'll need a lines layer above everything. But first, let's do our shadow highlights. And we're going to have to do this so it gives an indication of like a curve here. So we'll need to do what we did before. Go back to our shadow color. In fact, you know what we can do? We can just, that's the top there. Let's just pick it off here. That's our shadow color. Pretty sure. Yep. All right. So let's curl this as much as we can. We're just going to make it curl up a little. I don't want it to curl backwards. So that just makes it a little bit harder to draw. We're not trying to do that. Now what we will do is create one more layer in here. This will be on top. That'll be our line. And we're going to, doesn't even matter which we use, just needs to be the right size, which is 4 here. And we'll go like that. So that gives us the indication of the top edge coming up. Now we just need our shadow. So let's do this again. Pick the shadow, pick it from here. There it is. Gives us our curl. Gives us our back edge. And then highlight. Same here. Highlight. This will go like that. And that gives us our indication of curling upwards. I think we're going to leave it at that. I don't need anything super fancy for this. Okay, didn't see that, so hold on. So, is that Lublican? Answer a question. How about a DM? Simplify a rules question. All right. What is your question? Googling is crazy. I'm confused by treasure hoard charts. DMG page 138. Thing is, you can roll up like X art objects, some magic items. How come every hoard does not have gold pieces? Confused by dragon hoard. Um, It's used by a dragon horde consisting of a statue and a painting. So here's the thing. You know that a dragon's going to have gold, copper, silver in their horde, right? Um, what you're going to want to do when you're rolling on the treasure table, you're rolling for Lublican. Thank you for following. It's greatly appreciated. Hope you're having an awesome day. Um, what you want to do is roll on the table for items that'll be either A, useful for your group, like some magic items, and don't pick a chart because there's so many of them. Don't pick something that's going to have something that they shouldn't have at whatever level they're at. You know what I mean? Like a freaking Vorpal sword or I don't know, a Holy Defender. You know, pick your chart, go through and have a look, see which one you're like, okay, these will be used for my group. They're level appropriate. Good deal. Then, based on the age of the dragon, just decide how much gold you want to throw down. You don't need a table to tell you how much gold to throw down. Those tables are honestly, they're there for items. They're not there for the gold pile. It's what they're going to find when they sift through that gold file. That's how I gold pile. That's how I look at those treasure tables when you're talking about um, being in there, either killing a dragon or you stumble upon their horde while they're out at movie and a dinner with their date, whatever they're doing. Who knows? But it's a suggestion. You make up exactly, Jim Peckable. You make up the amount of gold and silver and copper that's in there. Like a younger dragon's probably going to have more copper, not as much gold, and not as much silver, and then just make the horde grow. If it's an ancient red or something like that, they're going to have a monstrous horde that's impossible for the group to carry off. I mean, how much. So, what I might do, it depends on my mood, right? So, what I might do is, let's say I'm setting this up inside of Foundry, right? I might do /r space D1000 and I'll roll that 3 times and then use like a multiplier of 3 for copper, 1.5 for silver, and because it's just an adult, maybe 1 for the gold. And I would use those as random numbers. I like to randomize things, so that's how I would probably generate for the dragon. And that's just numbers off the top of my head, thinking about size, age, and stuff like that. How much would they have? And maybe they've got cooler stuff in there that you actually got off the table, and that's what they value more. And just randomly throw out a modifier for those D1000s, and each time you roll for a dragon at that same size, just mix it up. Maybe this guy's been around a little bit longer. He's not old enough to be, bigger than an adult green, but he's almost there. So maybe he's got 1.5 for the multiplier on the freaking gold and stuff like that. That's how I would approach it. Is I would randomize it. It's not that only plays in tune when others use it. There you go. But I mean that's if I was setting up treasure for that, I would think about how long they've been around, calculate, a young dragon, it might only be a D100, and you're going to do multipliers where maybe they have like 600 gold. So you would just not use partials, like times whatever. So you just have to think how long they've been around, how much time they've had to be able to collect stuff. A wormling might only have a sack full of crap. Who knows? So it just play it by ear. That's the best thing you can do is play it by ear. And don't have like a consistent this is what an adult green has. This is what this one has. This is what that one has. Just make the crap up. So, hope that helps. I don't know if I'm happy with this ore sled, but I think this is what I'm going to use. And we're going to place that on the map because we only have so much time in life. All right, so we need a single ore sled. I am going to flatten this and call it done. I can't even type and spell right today. I tell you, that's what 3 hours of sleep does to you. Sleep is not overrated. That I know. All right, so we're going to copy this. And we'll put this on the terminus level. Let's see. I think this is the room it goes into. Let me double check. That's 3B. So we need the ore sled here. I need to make sure I'm on the right layer. On the floor. 3A. Next we'll do 3B. Let's make that folder. Create the layer. Paste this thing. Bring it to center. And shrink it because, my God, that would be a crazy big ore sled. Now, the thing to remember is these squares are 10 feet. I don't want a 10-foot tall ore sled or 10-foot long. I want a little bit smaller so it's manageable. We're going to throw that up here, turn it, place it, and are we happy with that? Built the cave around the sled, yep. So this is level 21, the terminus level of Dungeon of the Mad Mage. My group will be moving into this. Hopefully not tomorrow because I don't think I'm going to get it done. But they're on the level above. I think I will make it a little bigger just so it's seen. We'll make those dwarves work hard. All right. Now we'll go ahead and I need to pull this in again. Deselect. Let's see if we can do this the semi-easy button. There's that. Mining tools, we're going to do bam through there. We will copy, paste, throw some tools in here. Again, move to center. Seriously? There we go. Kill this layer. So these we need to resize all together. So we'll do that. See if it'll let me do it. Shovel hammer pick. We'll throw those in there. All right. Yeah, I'm going to admit I've gotten, man, I am worn out on these Dungeon of the Mad Mage maps. And I'll tell you why. Because I've done them 3 times now. This is the third time. I did it once with Dungeon Draft using stock assets. I don't remember. I did it again using Forgotten Realms assets, not Forgotten Realms, Forgotten Adventures. And then I said, fuck it, I'm going to just start making all my own assets. And that's where we are now, where we're in fuck it mode. We're just going to make all our own assets. It is, but in the end, it's all stuff that I'll at least be able to say it's stuff that other people don't have since I made the crap. Well, fortunately, I mean, the group that I play with that is going to end up using this map, um, they do know I spend a good bit of time working on this stuff. I know it says there are mining helmets in here. I don't think I'm going to make a mining helmet, though. We'll see. I think a lot of players make the false assumption, which, let's face it, a lot of DMs do it, but they're like, well, they probably just pull a map or they pull stuff off the internet and that's what they're using. Um, I don't do it. So this will end up going into Foundry. Um, but I also throw it up on my Patreon so people can use the map. All right, we'll call that done. This is here's where it's a problem. I'm not going to be able to leave this room without putting a freaking helmet on the floor. It says there's a helmet. I have to put a helmet on the floor. So I guess how do I want to make this? Do I want to make it like a hard hat mining helmet? Um, do I want to make it like a dwarven helmet or Duragar helmet? I don't know. It doesn't say. I'm going to make it like a mining helmet. So let's pick a texture. A little skull cap. Let's do the aged metal for this. We don't want to use the same thing we used for that. Who am I kicking? It's Tessa. They always have to be right on your feet because obviously that's the most comfortable place for me for them to be. All right, so this will be a helmet. But I said I was going to use aged metal. Let's drop that there. Zoom in. Let's take it down there. Eliminate that. And let's figure out how we want to do this. So what I'm kind of thinking is there, fill it. We're going to duplicate this layer, erase that layer, deselect, and let's try to center this up. So we're going to work from center here. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. That was dumb. You know what? I think we're gonna rough it. So there's that one. We'll move that. So that's kind of centered. That'll work. Let's throw our outline on this one. What the fuck happened there? Do I have multiple circles there? I think I might. Let's see what's happening here. That was some weird shit that happened. Let's make sure there's nothing weird going on with this one. All right. So this one will do this again. I think it did that because I didn't deselect and I actually moved the selection and it screwed it all up. So that was just a mental lapse on my part, I guess. So there. So far, it looks like a fedora mining cap. All right, let's kill this. I think we're gonna have to reselect our highlights and all. So go there. That'll be our highlight. And that'll be our shadow. So let's create those layers real quick. Did it right that time. See if it does it right this time. All right, good deal. I'm going to turn the density down on this. Gonna have that curl down a little bit. And then this, go there. And I think we're going to do a little bit there. No, I don't like that. Let's see if that turned down. And instead, let's bring this around here. Then, go a little bit darker here. Kind of. Go there. Let's go back to our highlight. Take this down in size. I don't know if I'm pleased with that or not. put like little indents into the helmet there. They're a little more subtle than those lines are. Not super thrilled with that. Not super thrilled at all. Trying to make that light be more directional on here. That's never a great idea, especially if I'm going to place these and rotate them. Why did bot... What? What? Oh my fucktarded Christ. Oh, you know what? It's that link. I never let links in the... Sorry about that, Jim Peckable. Yeah, it shouldn't have freaking done that to all the messages. That kind of pissed me off. I might have to kill Botrix. I'm gonna be honest. All I need is an indication it's a helmet, and I think that kind of meets my needs to throw a couple of freaking helmets down. I'll figure out what I want to do. I mean, I've made helmets before for other stuff that I needed, and this is I have in my mind what I want it to look like, and I think the issue is this highlight over here. I think that's the issue. Jim Peckable, thank you for the follow. It's greatly appreciated. See, I've got double freaking notifications coming up because of that, and I can't kill it over here. It's annoying the fuck out of me. I think what I want to do on that side is this. Let's Let's test our eraser. I want something really soft. And let's make the brush density like this. I think that helped. You know what? I'm not going to overthink this. I do this with so many of these assets that it annoys the shit out of me. It's something they're going to walk in. I'm going to say their fucking helmet's on the ground. They're going to see these circles and go, "Oh, that's a fucking helmet, right?" And then they'll leave the fucking room because there's nothing in here. So it's not that important. It's only stuff that I want them to know exactly what it is that's important. I need to teach myself that because that's the truth. All right. And then let's see what it looks like when we drop these things on the ground. So we're going to drop that there, move to center, shrink it. Move it. I'm going to throw like... See, I don't like... That's why I don't like making these things necessarily like that. Because now the lighting and shadows make no sense on them. But there. We'll call that done. So now I need to go... I don't need those. I need the cast. Where's my cast layer? There it is. All right. We're going to use our purplish shadow. We're going to zoom in and we're going to shadow this stuff. I do need to turn the brush density back up. And that. And for this is where we try to stick with our direction of where the shadow is being cast. Yeah, for a room they're just going to pass through, so I'm pretty sure there's nothing in here. That's a pass-through room. You struggle with preparing for everything or railroading people. Um, I guess you mean trying to get them to go along the path. Here's the thing: if you are making a campaign that is linear and not open world, every campaign doesn't need to be open world. Every adventure your characters play doesn't need to be, I see over there, I can go that way. There's no reason you can't drop something in their way when they decide to go where you don't want them to go to move them back onto the path. Here's the thing: it's your campaign if you're DMing. And if you don't feel like writing an entire freaking world with every town and every blade of grass detailed, don't do that. If you have a story that you want to tell and have them participate in, there's nothing wrong with guiding them gently along that path. You know what I mean? Maybe when you get to a town, you have your story so that it forks and they have different options to go to, but that's you guiding them in the story. It's not just letting them run hog wild and trample all over the place. And I strongly disagree with DMs who are like, oh, they should be able to go wherever they want and, make their own story. You can't prepare for that. You just can't. So all you can do is prepare for options, give them those options. And if you give them A, B, and C as an option and they choose D, well, D, there's a Baylor in the way, and it sends them back to A, B, and C. So, they don't want to fight that because it'll murder the whole party. They go back to A, B, and C. So, there are times when I've had to strong arm some parties like that to get them back in the direction they're going. But most of the time, the easiest thing to do as a DM is give them a couple of options and they'll choose their way down the path. And even if there's an A, B, and C, and let's say B is your main path you want them to go on, and they end up going to A or B, A and C first, there's no reason that, there's not a quest giver that they've got to come back to, and they get back here and they go that way. They have to come back here, then bam, they're still going where you want them to go. You can give them options without giving them total free reign. It's like the stupidity of parents saying like, "Oh, my 3-year-old's a free range child." You know what we call that? We call that a dead kid because you can't just open the door and say, "Go do what you're going to do today, little 3-year-old Johnny," and Johnny walks off into the traffic and gets run over. That's a stupid parent. You don't want to DM and just let them do whatever stupid crap they want to do because sometimes they're just wasting your time and everyone else's time at the table, especially if you have that one player that they want to go off and they think that they're going to make their own stupid storyline up and just go fucking crazy. Fuck that. You don't have to cater to one player at the table and make everybody else unhappy, including yourself. And that's another thing. Oh, well, the players will have to be happy. Well, the DM has to be happy running the game or no one's having fun. So if your idea is you have a storyline to play, that's your campaign. Explain that to the players if you have to up front. And if they try to go off the reservation, you put them back on it and you send them down the line. I mean, everyone, including the DM, has to be happy at the table. It, I mean, I'm going to give you a really good example. When so I used to run Adventures League at a store, and I had 21 DMs, 21 tables, like 170 plus people a week that I coordinated coming in and playing. And one of those tables was mine that I ran. One of our friends was running a table at that, and this was back in Horde of the Dragon Queen, right? They got halfway through the first of the two books in Horde, and the group went totally off reservation. They started going out into the swamps and doing all this shit and wanting to build this shit and make a trading post and do this and do that. 2.5 years later, they were still in that same spot in that first book. We had all finished Horde and moved on to the next adventure. Some had gone to the next adventure after that because they had a release schedule that was like every 6 to 9 months. And they were still stuck there because they had one player at the table that wanted to go totally hog wild, do his own thing, and just be an idiot. And some of the players had fun, others were complaining about it, and I'm like, well, the DM's letting it happen. That's your problem. You know, I can move you to another table or whatever, but I'm not going to stop him from running the table. I'm not going to, you guys let this get out of control. You need to rein it in. And they didn't do that. And I don't think they ever finished Horde of the Dragon Queen. They never got to the second book. They started playing something else because they got bored with the bullshit that they were doing. And so, because they had this one person who was an idiot do what he wanted to do, they couldn't even complete an adventure. And that's not the way it should ever end up being in a D&D game where everybody quit. You have to quit the adventure because you're tired of doing it. Even though, a couple months in, you stop playing the adventure because you let this bonehead at the table come up with this harebrained scheme and you guys never leveled up and never finished the adventure. So that's on everybody at the table. Sometimes the players need to sit there and say, no, we're not doing that. We were given a mission. This is where we're going. But I want to do this. You're ruining my fun. No, dude, you're ruining everybody else's fun. Shut the fuck up. This is what we're going to do. I would always rather lose one bad player than have 4 or 5 other players who are good players be miserable because of that. Exactly. So that's why I've always said it's never a bad thing to gently guide them down the path you need them to be going to. And if you have a problem player, then sometimes you have to not so gently nudge them back to that path. It's just, that's the game. All right, so this room, 4A, where is that? And yeah, I do consider somebody like that, you know, they're disruptive. They just are. So I need to fill this whole room with something that looks like silt, like up through here, and then create some footprints in it. The silt will be easy enough to do. So the silt, those are the wall rocks. I needed to go under the wall rocks and above the floor down here. So this is the cave ground, right? This is something else. And that's the floors in the main area. So I need the silt to be right in here. So let's just put it above the cave ground, and we're going to mess with the opacity to make it the way we want it. So let's see if we have something. I'm thinking it would be some type of sand, but it's going to probably be sitting in my ground textures. Mud. Mud could be silt if we do it right. Sandy mud. Soil mud. Ground soil. Let's try that. So first, because we're not going to put this over the entire map. First, let's come in. Got to be careful how I do this. I mean, I've talked about some, truly heinous players that I've had in the past. Um, Players that I've actually kicked out of, like I said, when I was running that in that store environment, I had to kick them out because of the shit that they were pulling. And every time that you kick somebody out, oh, you're ruining my fun. I should be able to play however I want to play. Now, granted, just going off reservation like that, that's not as bad, but it's still an indication of a potential problem that you shouldn't have to deal with, especially, the minute you start cutting them off, then they're going to be, again, I should be able to do whatever I want. Nah, life doesn't work like that. I'm going to try this. Then we're going to go like that. Then this layer, turn the opacity down a little bit, like that. Let's deselect this. So that does give it, definitely looks a little different than that. So I think I'm happy with that. And if we really want to do any additional now, we can just come in and start filling it, using a brush. And let's say we want to do that. Come in and kind of texture it that way. Hey, Billy Boy Plays, how's it going? You have that player who every time they meet someone and could be a confrontation or opportunity to talk, gets his killing hammer out. Yeah, I had one of those. We ended up having to toss him off the table. But the party was much happier for it. And you're going to have those. You're going to have those players who, they're just a freaking murder hobo. They're there because I don't know why. Because they're a fucking idiot. That's why. But you're going to have those players. Yep, buddy of mine's. See what time it is. It's 1 o'clock. I really need to. And we haven't gotten shit done. So that's our ground soil. I'm going to need to. I think what I'm going to need to do. Nice shading on the silt. Yeah, and I did try to get it so that it slowly tapers out. So I think it worked out. Yeah. Originally I had all these rocks. It looked horrible. The last time I streamed this, which a couple of weeks, 2 weeks ago maybe, and the rocks were sitting on top of the cast shadow. And I ended up throwing them down in a layer below the shadows so that, now they're sitting in the shadows from the cast off the wall. But man, we have so much work to do. But that'll be our silt layer there. But I think next time I get on and start working on this, so I might get back on this afternoon, but somebody just texted me and I might go meet them. I think I'm going to need to make a boot print and, right and left boot print, right and left footprint. And I'm going to turn that into a brush so I can just like draw a pattern that'll go ahead and repeat like somebody's walking along. So I think that's the next thing I'm going to have to do is work on that brush. And I mean that ends up, I'm going to be honest, that's one of the things we end up spending a lot of time doing. Like these are all the brushes that I've sat down and made. My iron ore, my railroad, going all the way up here with all this crap that I've needed along the line, like blood drops, bolts, for random floors, mushroom caps, stalagmites, anything that I possibly need, I end up making those brushes, which is basically, that's what these were for. I needed some stones in this thing. I made the stones and created a brush from it. And if you look, like this is the iron ore brush right here. Oh, it threw up there. Why did it go to that screen? So it creates a randomized brush. And that's just, I ended up adjusting some stuff out. I'm going to pull these out of play and fix that brush because I didn't like one thing in there. I ended up pulling these out. They don't look good. So I had one where I made the iron ore there. Then I made the wall stones for that. That's this one. So it just drops rocks around and it randomly rotates and resizes. So that's one thing one of the reasons I like Clip Studio is the brush engine. It makes it easy for me to make stuff like that. I say easy, but it comes down to, I have to draw each asset and then it's easy to make the brush. I still have to draw. I got tired of making rocks, so I only made 8 rocks. I probably should have like a dozen or more, but I got lazy. What can I say? It happens. But I'm going to save this. We ended up making a cart and a hat today. And getting some stuff done here. So I'm going to leave this open where we are so I remember that I need to make footprints in here. Not excited about making a footprint and a boot print brush, but we're going to do it. And we have a lot to do. I think I have 2 forges to build in 2 rooms. Looks like there's a statuary hall. No, there's more than that. I see 4 forges I'm going to have to make. I'll probably just make one and put identical in those rooms because they probably are identical. I'll be able to place the same iron carts that I have some places. Looks like I have to do a couple of altars. And then there's details in the rooms that I'll need to see. Oh, and it looks like I've got a large curtain to build across one room. So we'll see. Some of these maps have been crazy, some not so crazy. I think I'll pull up the last map that we did, Runestone, real quick. This is the last one that I built that my people are currently in. And this is the other thing I hate with Mad Mage. These maps are huge. When I finish these last 3 levels and can just start going and start making some random encounter maps and stuff, this is the last one that I made, Runestone Caverns. And the nice thing is I do use Foundry, so, when they step inside the runestone here, with Foundry, it'll teleport them right here. And then they get to come in and go to each of these rooms. But yeah, that was a goofy one with three dwarves standing on their shoulders and stuff like that. And then the mage holding the statue of a mage holding their spell book. There's the phylactery for the lich that's in there. But this one ended up taking time because, well, we ended up making a treasure brush to drop coins down for us. We'll have that to use forever now. This we did manually. I need to figure out how to make, for that fungus, that brush, so it'll stay inside the walls. Then we made these as brushes where we just drew and dropped down each one of the fungi randomly. And then same thing up here. Then we had to do a dead Zorn. So that was exciting. An old nasty looking forge with an anvil. Alistair's head from a statue. These crevasses. A couple of big ass skeletons. And see, this is where that brush came in handy. And then these, I ended up using the lighting effects. These are like motes of light flying around. Statue with half its head off with some fungi in the broken part. This one wasn't too terrible. I think the worst was here's the thing though. You say you don't want to spend money on Foundry. It's a one-time $50 fee. And if you're hosting and you don't have a problem with your players logging into your computer, you don't ever have to pay a dime again. I was using the Forge to host my games, and I ended up setting it up on a server in my house, setting up a link so they could link into the server. And then I set up a whole lot of security crap so that it's relatively safe. So, but I have the benefit of it's not on my computer I'm on now. It's on a Linux server that I keep in the house. So if you have something you can run it off of, like I said, it's $50 and you're done. And if you don't have a problem with setting up a like a Linux server with all of the containers and stuff that you need for security, and then going through Cloudflare and all this other stuff to direct it through you safely, it's not that hard. I mean, I'm an old fart. If I can do it, you can do it. But yeah, I can't wait for this campaign to be done. I've had enough of Mad Mage. But like I said, we're at 21. It goes to 23. And I may not rebuild. Let me pull this up over here. I did these maps. Oh, there we go. Let me find the maps real quick. These were made using Dungeon Draft, which Dungeon Draft is nice if you're making small maps. I know they had an issue with the development platform that that Dungeon Draft is on. I don't know if they've ever updated it since the year or so that I stopped using it and started going between Photoshop and Clip Studio to just make all my own stuff. Um, but let me see. I'll pull up level 23 that I made. And it's here's the thing. It's okay, but it's not awesome. It's just generic assets because that's all you can do is get assets that somebody else has made, put them in, and try to make it represent what you want. Oh, let me pull it back in. I'm sorry. Will I be able to do this? I think I'm gonna need. I know what I'm gonna need to do. Hold on. So, I mean, this is what I made in Dungeon Draft, and I'm just not thrilled with it. I was never really happy with any of the maps that I made in Dungeon Draft. Things didn't always line up right. Um, the like this these doors here because it's on an angle, they just wouldn't fit in properly. I mean, and it's you're just using the exact same assets that every other dude that uses Dungeon Draft and like Forgotten Adventures or Tom Kartos or any of those guys has. You're limited to what they've made. And I kind of got I got really I tell you what, I really lost my shit on Dungeon Draft. Um I was working on I was going to do what's the adventure? Doesn't even matter. I was starting to work on a massive project building for this adventure where you would use levels, you would use all this stuff to be able to move and walk, go upstairs. It would pop you on the next level. Everything was working fine inside of Foundry. And then I had like 120 hours worth of work on the maps and they got corrupted. And I couldn't reload them or do anything to save them. I couldn't even go to back to past states that I had stored inside of Dungeon Draft. And it was just because it had so much stuff on it that I lost 120 hours worth of work. And I was furious. And I wasn't even a quarter of the way done doing what I planned to do for that. And that's when I just said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to just make the maps myself, make all the stuff, and then start putting it into Dungeon Draft because I can put 10,000 layers in Clip Studio Paint and it's not going to freaking die. It just won't. It allows you up to 10,000 layers. I think the most I've used is like 700 on one of these maps where I had so much shit that I had to put in there. It was crazy. Um, and even at that, now I start compressing those layers so that the file gets smaller. But yeah, I lost my shit. I lost my shit in stream, and I don't think I streamed for like a week and a half after that. I was so pissed. Um, and then I decided, you know what? I ended up doing Photoshop. Photoshop's good, but it doesn't have the brush engine power that this has, and I already owned Clip Studio for the last 8 years for drawing and stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to use that because I love the brush engine. But like I said, for small maps and for somebody that doesn't want to, no, I don't think Tiny clipped that. Thank God he wasn't in stream when I lost my shit that day, because I know he would have clipped it. But yeah, that pissed me off so fucking much. And and until then, I'll be honest, I was like an ambassador for Dungeon Draft, because for simple map making and stuff, it is awesome. But for a big project, I know there are guys out there who is it Bailey Wiki and a couple of them. They make stuff on there, but their maps aren't huge like this. And it's just, it was one of those things where that was enough. The fact that you can lose so much stuff, and I always have backups of everything. Um, but the fact you can lose so much, it was infuriating for me. And they weren't updating anymore. So, you know, but it was, yeah, I was doing Lost Mine of Fandelver, and I was mapping out the entire town of Fandelver with all the underground stuff where you could go down underground into the jails and up into the towers, and getting that all inside of, testing as I went along as the maps were being built. Um, yeah, that's why I don't like those. I mean, one dungeon draft map looks like another dungeon draft map. It just comes down to whose assets is somebody using. And then you're like, oh, you start recognizing the artist that made that asset. I mean, Tom Cardos has a very specific way that he does his stuff. And Forgotten Adventures, they have a very specific way that they make their shit. And, the maps are all the same. So, and then you look at maps and you'll be like, that's Forgotten Adventures, that's Tom Cardos, that's another one. Okay. Just make your own shit. If you're going to sit down and do it, just make your own shit. That's where I am, where I just want to make my own crap and not worry about what somebody else has. But all right, my puppy is over there groaning. She's only 4.5 months old, and she's like, "I need my lunch." So I'm gonna get her lunch, and then I'm gonna meet my friend and shoot the shit. Need what on a placard? Hey, no problem. I will be on tomorrow. I don't know what time, but I will be on. Uh, you followed, so you'll get notifications if you click the little button. And bake your own shit. Yeah, that should be a placard. Make your own shit. Maybe I'll make a placard and put it back there someday. Make your own shit. That would be funny. But that'll be it. It's impeccable. You have an awesome day. Everybody else, we'll catch you next time. Dad's got to go feed the puppy and hit some golf balls and shoot the shit with my bud. So everybody have a great day.